Well, listen, what Cam Newton is doing with the dancing, the dab, whatever, he understands the position he's in with this team. He is a unique athlete at quarterback, 6'5", 250, 260 pounds. He's been devoid of receiving weapons. Kelvin Benjamin hurt. And so he's only got a tight end. And this is a physical football team that beat you up on defense and beat you up with a running game. And he has immersed himself in that mentality. He's not going to be punked out of running the football like defenses want him. They want him to stay in the pocket. And so he has tapped into the emotional well that most football players tap into to survive. Quarterbacks just don't. And so they play the game between their ears. He's being asked to play with his heart, his mind, and his body, and that has made him a bit more demonstrative and theatrical, like you see with a lot of football players. That emotion causes them to do those crazy end zone celebrations and do some of the stuff they do after the play. He's tapped into that because he has to in order for this team to win. He's got a dab.
It's interesting you mention this because I've always believed that you can't always control yourself in life. There have been 3 or 4 times in my life, Jason, and I can remember them, the birth of my daughter the first time, when I can remember almost breaking a story and then being called by a source saying you butchered it, although I didn't. My body temperature changed. And I started sweating profusely. There have been these 3 moments in my life where I can't control my physiology. I have said, if you consider the level of violence and testosterone in football, you have to give players a 2 count after they score. In boxing, I knock you out, you got to give me a 2 count. And so what you're basically saying is he's playing a running back. It's a different physiology.
It's a whole different mentality. I'm going to get criticized for making this analogy, but it's one I can relate to. I played football all the way up through college. The greatest game I ever played was in 6th grade. I had a back injury, and my mother rubbed Bengay on my back all night, and I was scared I wasn't going to play. And I prayed all night, and I got all emotional, and I played the greatest game I ever played in my life. And after every play, I went crazy. My mother was over there embarrassed, like, what's wrong with Jay? I had mentally taken myself to some place where I was out of control on the football, but I played this incredible game. I could never get there mentally again throughout 10, 15 more years of playing football. When I saw Ray Lewis before the game, when I see a lot of these players and the emotional well they tap into, the players that can tap into that the most frequently are the greatest players. And a lot of times that's why you see players that have gone through a lot of personal pain, they have more of a deeper well to tap into. Cam Newton this year, again, he's lived a relatively pampered life, but he's tapping into that emotional well because he absolutely has to. It's the only way his team can be undefeated and he can survive. Now, if he keeps poking a stick at these guys, the other lions in the jungle are going to get him eventually. He's got to be careful, but I understand where he's coming from.